Tom. What you doing? Is something bothering you?
Sort of.
Like what?
Well, it's not easy for me to talk about it.
What?
I was surfing the net last night, and I saw some things. Some things came up that made me feel really lousy.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
I was embarrassed. I'm glad no one was with me or saw it.
You know, that happened to me once, too. I was really uncomfortable of what I saw.
What did you do?
I told my mom and dad.
What did they say?
They said that there are going to be some things that come up on the computer that'll...
Whenever you're online, doing what you're supposed to do, and something comes up on your screen that makes you feel bad or uncomfortable, you should tell your parents right away. But remember, because these things come up, it doesn't mean that it's your fault.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Fruit Basket. I'm your host, Ryan Faulkner. Unfortunately, Johnny Gibson, my co-host, met his untimely demise being killed of death by a head-on collision with with a gonorrhea truck.
Damn gonorrhea truck. You know, I mean, as we were discussing earlier in previous filmings of this episode, it was caused by an overabundance of hogs, wild hogs,
yes,
that got in the way of the truck.
A bunch of razorbacks.
Right. So essentially, we can't really pin down exactly what happened, but we know to avenge his death, we need to kill and eat as many wild hogs as possible.
Yes, with landmines.
Landmines would work. I'm liking the ones that maybe pop up off the ground and spin around.
No, I'm more a sportsman. I want to throw them directly at him.
You know, throw
like a pancake,
at
like a pancake. It's like whoosh, boom.
What happens if it lands flat and then it just blows up the ground?
Well, that's your fault for hanging around, isn't it?
Okay,
fair enough.
It's possible.
All right. Obviously, to my right here is everybody, most people that watch my show know is Kyle from You Can't Brew That, sitting in as a guest host this week until we get things straightened out.
Appreciate you having me. It's a lot of fun to talk sports. I always want to talk sports when we're on You Can't Brew That on television, but the fact that our show's about beer, we kind of try to not do that. So this will be fun.
They kind of go hand in hand, though. I'm
gonna talk about beer. So tonight we'll just drink beer.
Sweet.
And then we'll talk about sports.
Many beers. We'll drink many beers.
Many beers. We're almost out of many beers.
Oh, no.
But don't worry, we have many big beers, too.
Oh, sweet.
So let's talk about the question that I had earlier.
All right.
Which was posed to me by Yahoo and their sports. And it says, rain washes out U.S. Open play. Who benefits? My personal thought is that if tennis is not on TV, that I benefit. I benefit personally. So I'm not sure where they were going with their article because I'm not going to click on it. But as far as I'm going, hey, I'm happy with it. I'm happy that tennis is not on TV.
Oh, man, it can be riveting. I remember I watched that Andy Roddick, Roger Federer match or set or match, right? Match. It went like
Sure.
It went like 20 sets or something, 25 sets. It was the longest final like set round ever or something like that. It was ridiculous. I actually sat there and watched that from about five.
I know a lot of people who actually watch a lot of U.S. Open, especially, but watch a lot of tennis. My brother-in-law is a big tennis player, really good. Tennis is just one of those sports to me that doesn't translate well to TV.
Well, it's because, I mean, they don't show the guys grunting enough.
And that's the thing. Well, as we were talking about earlier, and for those of you who don't know, we often get to replay any show that Ryan's on because technical difficulties ensue. It's the nature of the beast when it comes to dealing with shows with Ryan.
The curse is the glitch screen.
The glitch screen. So, anyway, I like women's...
Do it live!
And that would be our producer, Rich. You want to say hi, Rich?
Hi, Rich.
Sweet.
Oh, see, there he is.
There he is. Don't take up too much bandwidth. We need to tone it down.
Okay,
all right?
I'm just going to back it up.
If we're having problems, should we just talk quieter? Is that the thing? Maybe we won't be pushing as much bandwidth.
NPR it just like
Yeah, we can sneak some packets past AT&T before they kill us again.
Sweet. So
you wonder if they're getting back at Richard at this point for all his bad-mouthing of AT&T and my eliminating of AT&T from our house.
Well, you lucky duck. I can't do that. We are not so fortunate as you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so...
We sell commercials here on the Lone Star, but the anti-commercials are free.
Yes. Always. Obviously. So, Kyle, We live in Texas, and we've been bombarded with the 100-degree temperatures for well over 3 months. So now, I swear, this past few days, it has been knocked down to a nice, comfortable, not maybe 90,
Not
mostly
quite, right,
80s.
right.
It's been fantastic,
Sure.
and nothing says the beginning of football.
Nothing says
like,
September in the beginning of football.
like this type of weather. And what better to talk about on our show than stinking football?
I like stinking football.
Sweet.
And that's something we should talk about. I mean, college football, that's my bread and butter. I love college football. Been following college football in just infinitum since probably 1999.
All right, just go ahead and qualify it. Where the hell did you go to college?
Went to school, the University of Oklahoma. I'm a Sooner. Boomer.
Oh, he'll tell you true.
Doesn't matter.
Shut up.
Dominic Whaley.
That's fine. I don't care. Whatever. It doesn't bug me.
No, but it's all right. But this guy to my left, he's a flying beagle. So the flying beagles don't do so
Well, we
much.
suck. Hey, at least we're consistent. We're
Sure.
consistently ranked 116 out of 119. So don't worry about it. We'll be
128.
fine. Whatever. Anyway,
Depends on who you ask.
So let's digress. Let's go into some college. Well, I mean,
Sure.
there's a couple of the first week of college football open last week.
Started on Thursday night. There was a whole bunch of trash games, but I had them on. I'll have to say I'm not thrilled with ESPN. The last few years, especially maybe about the last 5-6 years, I felt like they have pushed their boundaries as being a sports analyst and broadcasting network to being a sports empire. It seems like they've kind of crossed the bounds.
So you're trying to tell me they're trying to give you as many games as possible, regardless of who wants to see them?
And regardless of whether it benefits the school and regardless of whether it benefits the game that's going on, and sometimes to the detriment, which is something we can talk about a little bit later about something I found out about Texas Tech and ESPN and Longhorn Network. But basically, we could talk about it now. So anyway, the Texas Tech and Texas game, the Longhorn Network, which is something that caused quite a bit of issues around here in this area.
Very quite.
Well, they told Texas Tech, hey, you guys can be broadcast on our Texas Longhorns network. And Tech goes, no, we're good. We'll go ahead and have it on Fox Sports. And then ESPN goes, no, you can't. We made the offer. We already bought the rights, so you either do it on the ESPN Longhorn network, or you don't broadcast at all. So Tech's given the choice of losing all of the revenue for broadcasting a game, as opposed to having the game broadcast on Fox Sports, which it could have been. It's just it's a shame, because around here, people that were Texas fans, I laughed heartily because they spent hours trying to find games that they could watch on TV, yet they just only offered them on Verizon Fios. If you didn't have Verizon Fios, you could not watch.
Well, I mean, what's
University of Texas.
What's college football more than TV contracts?
That's right. TV contracts definitely. Thanks, Tugger. We brought our dogs to talk about college football, and my big one's trying to move me away from the table right now, which happens a lot, whether or not it's my dog or just me.
Or me just trying to tell you to shut up.
Oh, okay. So college football. College football.
Yes.
So Thursday night sucked, but what didn't suck was ESPN3.com.
I got a hot sports opinion on that, by the way.
All right, let's hear it.
ESPN3 is freaking fantabulous.
It's awesome, man. It's great.
The variety of crap. I mean, literally, it is a number short of being the Ocho. Like
that is what
they
you
show
want.
everything on there, and it's awesome because you don't have to.
Full frontal sports.
They show some premiership games on there in soccer, and that's hard to get. You have to pay a lot of money to get some of those games, and they give it to you for free. They give you.
Rich, do you know of any people that have been watching soccer since 2003? I think that happens occasionally.
Johnny was a huge soccer guy, so moment of silence for him.
Yeah, there you go. So I
Pour
think
one out for
that
a homie.
there we go. Pour one out.
Yeah,
for
he
homie.
died today, so.
I was trying to pour it on the floor, but I missed and hit my mouth, so I'll be all right with
It
it.
happens, but yeah, ESPN3 is great. So, but they had
Fantastic. The little 4-screen thing that you can do.
Oh, man.
Watch 4 sports at once, and you click on whichever one. You can go full screen. You can watch picture-in-picture. I told this to Bono, my co-host, and he was like, oh, well, my AT&T Uverse can do that. And I'm like, yeah, and you're also paying $120 a month for your AT&T Uverse.
Yeah, I mean,
so
well,
it's freaking free, man.
Well, you get what ESPN3 is. It's a non-contract ESPN network, and they'll put like very generic, very random things on, like women's basketball.
Sure.
They'll put, but they do
I've watched,
everything but NHL.
Professional softball on there before.
Have you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I would never watch that, but it's on the Ocho.
During the Mavericks run, I was able to watch some playoff games on there. They'll put pro basketball, they'll put baseball, they'll put they won't put hockey because NHL's a bunch of bitches, but that's another story.
Yeah, NHL
football.
and ESPN kind of had their falling out, so.
Oh yeah, that's why they're on Versus. But
yeah.
Anyway,
that's a whole
great.
other story about ESPN that I don't like is the fact that so this contract's gone from ESPN to the NHL, and it was almost the death of the NHL.
Well, I blame that on Gary Bettman, the commissioner.
True.
I'm
not
ESPN.
blaming ESPN, but I'm saying they're just so powerful right now they can't help themselves.
Well,
and they have the money. But then again, ABC could have spent the money. ABC is.
Well,
ESPN,
NBC is.
NBC or CBS could have spent the real money to get real games on, but they choose to do their children's programming at night anyway.
Nah, whatever. So anyway, we digress. ESPN3,
awesome.
Good.
So I watched 4 college football games that were all awful, but the experience of getting to watch them all at the same time and click between them, I was very giddy, very happy.
That's very college football, college basketball-y.
Yeah.
You know, like Final Four.
You can watch all kinds of games, yeah.
And then college football, there's just too many.
That's the definite thing about college football that's different than pro football. And there are 50 to 60 games any given week. So, and that's just Division I. So you're watching 50 or 60 games, and they can't all be on separate days and times, although they mix it up and they put some Thursday nights and some Friday nights and some Mondays occasionally right now, but they'll get away from that once pro Monday night starts up. But, so there's so many games. You're going to have some of these games happening during at the same time. You're going to have 2 or 3 really good games going on at the same time. So being able to watch them at the same time is great.
So let's talk about a couple of games that stuck out to you real quick. I guess
the Aggies versus Auburn, I thought that was a huge game.
Yeah, that was pretty big. I mean, especially with the Aggies. Utah State.
Aggies.
That game seemed yeah, sure. Auburn turned over Cam Newton and everything. You had a bunch of people graduate with them, but
Nick Fairley, they had 2 top 10 players graduate.
Who's Nick Fairley anyway? Really. But you had that happen. But that turned out to be a game that was way more competitive, even with the graduating people gone, than it would seem. And it came down to the last couple of plays of the game and an onside kick that was just. It proved really why, and you said this, why Utah State or whatever.
Utah State, yeah.
I can't remember that. Utah State hadn't been there because they had horrible coverage on the onside kick. It looked like
horrible coverage.
Minute and a half left.
They're not calling their timeouts well. They finished the game from behind with a timeout. You don't do that. You use all your timeouts. You take advantage of every play you could. They could have had, if they called timeouts while Auburn was trying to score, they could have had 5 more plays in that game, but they chose to wait and be conservative with their play calling with their timeout calling. So it's just, to me, it was a mix of a coach that hadn't been there and players that hadn't been there. So they allowed an onside kick that shouldn't have been allowed, and then they played like crap and they finished the game to lose it.
But they did have that guy had it was a sweet catch,
yep,
a broken play sort of,
yep,
and then a sweet run where the guy's basically dragging another guy behind him on his jersey into the end zone. That was great.
It was a ton of fun to watch that game.
It was.
I really. I don't like Auburn.
Yeah.
It's not a team that I've ever been a fan of, but I don't hate Auburn. I'm not going to begrudge them for winning a game, and to me, it's one of those that's another thing about college football that you just don't get as much in pros. You do a little bit in pros, but in college football, there ends up being teams you hate and teams you love.
Oh, why don't you tell me about it, Texas?
I love watching Texas lose, and I love watching the University of Southern California lose. It's great. I love it. I delight in that. Up until a while in mind, but now I'm watching Florida lose. The Jesus graduated.
It's from DeJesus?
Yeah, from DeJesus. It was a guy that, if that's another ESPN thing, had ESPN not been covering that sport and covering it to the SEC, we wouldn't have heard so much talk about Tim Tebow. And then he gets to us.
We did there? Nice, huh?
There it is. There it is. Added an L to it. It's funny because he sucks. We're close. But, so... Thank you, Tucker. So, one thing we do...
we're seamlessly transitioning.
One thing we do here at the Lone Star Network is we wrap the microphone cables around our mic stands. And what that does is it stops the microphone cable from being pulled out of the unit, our amplifier unit. And what tends to happen if the dog steps on it is the microphone falls off the table.
That was pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
It was very
I thought you were going to say normally we tie our microphones to the dogs. And then...
So where the mics go, the dogs go.
That was very
the
today.
Dogs go, the mics go.
That was very today.
Yeah, but so Tebow, that's a college football to pro football thing. Do you ever hear any third/fourth string quarterback getting that much discussion in the pros? And it was only because ESPN dominates not only the college realm but the pro realm.
Well, let's make one thing clear, homeboy. You were freaking hotter than the pants. Yeah, you were freaking hotter than the pants of him for him last year.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you were. You said,
totally,
look at him, he's going to be a good quarterback. I swear to God.
I said those words exactly, and I have never been sarcastic in my life.
Don't give me that horse shit.
I was totally screwing with.
Whatever. This guy was up Tim Tebow's skirt, just
I picked up Tim
away.
Tebow in the end of our fantasy football league 2 weeks before I had to play him in the Super Bowl. So to me, I thought it would be really funny. As we've had many discussions about Tebow not being good and how much I hate Tebow, for me to all of a sudden jump on Tebow's bandwagon and really enjoy, this Tebow guy's so good, as I beat him in the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying, I know whenever you're sarcastic, and you had that look in your eye.
Obviously, you don't know every time.
When Texas loses, I got that same gleam, that star in your eye. You said Tebow is the second coming. He is the chosen one.
I told you.
The Denver Broncos back to the championship.
That's what I said. Tim Tebow washed my feet.
Mediocrity.
So, I don't know. I always hated Tim Tebow. That was a joke, but I do find it funny to this day that it is in contention that it was not a joke. So
he is
it's funny. I'll be willing.
So spare. It's not even funny.
He's a running quarterback, and they get all kinds of extra love in the pros. Right?
He's a spare quarterback on a team with a bunch of spares.
Yeah.
So what does that say?
It's like Tyrod Taylor. He's a pro now, and Tyrod Taylor was a no good running back in college and he'll be a no good running quarterback in the pros too.
So let's touch on the other local game, the TCU game. Well, not the other local game,
versus
the local game.
Baylor. Was one phenomenal football.
You would have
game.
not seen this come. I wonder how many people lost money in Vegas on this game. Like seriously,
I had TCU for my highest confidence points on my pick'em.
Because what is Baylor ranked?
Baylor is
technically, well, they're not ranked, but what are they? 50,
they're
60,
they're probably going to be in the mid 30s.
Okay, so they're not as bad as I thought.
No, they're definitely up there. They're a good, solid program that's not quite there. But as they proved in this first game, maybe they are quite there. Now TCU's defense was ravaged by the NFL draft. So they lost 2 cornerbacks, they lost a safety, both inside defensive tackles. That's huge. But they let up more points in that game than they normally let up in 3.
Yeah, definitely. What did they score? It was in the 40s?
It's 50-48 was the final score in that game. And it was an amazing football game where actually at one point Baylor took a huge lead and I kind of wound off.
Oh, it was
shut it off for a few minutes and then put it back on a few minutes later and was like, holy crap, TCU's about to take the lead with this touchdown. And sure enough, score a touchdown with a brand new starting quarterback who looked really good.
Yeah,
he looked really good.
You can't really ask for too much. There's a big drop off when it comes to life after Andy Dalton. We'll get to Andy Dalton later in a minute. But going from Andy Dalton to that guy, you can't complain too much the first game after.
No. And Andy Dalton, I feel like is a great quarterback, and I think he's going to be a great pro quarterback. Again, we'll talk about it later.
Let's hold that.
So the next thought on it, though, is, this next guy behind him is supposedly really good. And Andy Dalton wouldn't even have been playing last year if it wasn't for injuries. He had an injury red shirt, so He was this guy should have been ready to start last year, and I take a lot of credence to that in a college football rankings. When you've got a guy who is supposed to start, they recruit guys to where they're going to have their next starter ready when that starter is gone. So that was something they were trying to do. They wanted this guy to start last year, but hell, if you're going to get Dalton back, you want Dalton to start again.
Yeah.
So they let that happen. They got Dalton going. Well, Passion, I think is his name, and had a great game. And Paschal.
I don't know how to say his name.
It's Pachel.
It's very confusing.
Paschal. So anyway, he's
say it with your wife later, late in the night, and you'll score.
But meanwhile, 2 players on that Baylor team were just phenomenal. One being Kendall Wright or Jeff Wright. I can't remember his first name anyway. Wright, the wide receiver, phenomenal. He threw a touchdown pass, threw 2 passes for. He was 2 for 2 with a touchdown for 55 yards as a quarterback. He caught 12 passes for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns. That guy was all over the field. Meanwhile, you've got the quarterback who threw to 4 different receivers touchdowns.
Yeah.
And 3 of those touchdowns to the other receivers were bombs. He stepped out of the pocket. He ran around. Robert Griffin is the real deal. And that guy's amazing.
And that's what you want in a quarterback, especially, in college whenever the defenses are just so,
They're hit or miss, play to play.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's the best way.
If you can get a consistent quarterback that can catch a defense off just 1 or 2 plays a game, it can make a game.
Robert Griffin, to me, he's a running quarterback's running quarterback. The guy can run, but you know what? He's a pocket passing son of a bitch.
That's what you don't have with those runners is you don't have that pocket presence. They do their first. That's what bugs me to death about Michael Vick. Always has. He does his first read, and if it's not there, he takes off. That's not a quarterback, man. You're running the Wildcat.
I'll disagree with you on the way Vic played last year. I think the way Vic scrambled, he had his initial read, and then he ran out of the pocket, and then he had a second read, and if that wasn't there, he would go. So he was a 2 read and run guy.
Well, he was better now. He was a lot better since he's been back in the league. Once he realized that he wasn't a good quarterback.
It was illegal to fight dogs?
Well, that too.
Oh, okay.
But just fight people, dude. But, just kill people instead of dogs.
That's what he should do. Instead of organizing a dog fighting league, he should organize a league where humans
human trafficking,
where they fight. What was that motion?
Just like
human trafficking. Okay.
Like break the bottles, like boom.
Right. So he organizes I don't know what you would call it if you would have humans fighting other humans, possibly with swords,
like a club of fighting, kind of like.
And maybe you do that in an arena and allow lions to fight the people sometimes.
Maybe make them religious sex.
Right, and then people with chariots could fight occasionally.
Make movies out of it.
Yeah, I think that'd be
a great idea.
It sounds like it could sell.
And then there's Michael Vick going.
Oh man, we could call people Raelius things and use and have a lot of EUS's in their names, and it just everybody would delight in that sport. So the next new sport we'll talk about next year is human killer rating. Because there's no name for it. Nobody's ever done that before.
So, okay, now let's wrap up college football.
Okay.
Let's do, hold on. Let me preface it.
Okay.
Let's make this not as quick as possible, but we could sit here.
So it's not like your sex life?
And we did, no, obviously not. We talked about 45 minutes about this last night alone. So let's try to make this kind of brief. Let's try to hit the top points about the conference realignment and what this means to college football.
Conference realignment. Right now, the gist of it is Big 12 lost 2 teams last year, one to the Big 10, one to the Pac-12 now. And in losing those teams, we're now a less stable conference as the Big 12 because we only have 10 teams. If we lose any teams, now we're in trouble. Well, A&M told everybody they're really happy, but meanwhile they were working these backdoor deals with the SEC, and SEC being so moneyed by the ESPN, they feel like it's a better deal for them to go to the SEC, that they'll make all their money back because they're going to be making so much more money from the ESPN deal with the SEC. Now, the problem with that, they had to go through some legal hoops, and they had to allow this, their president, they had to vote on him to have the ability to look at the next conference, and then the SEC found out legally they couldn't invite A&M without A&M first having said they want to come, and so now, they're dancing through all of these, jumping through all these hoops, and there's fire everywhere, and people are juggling, and it's really bad, And then all's well, right, until today, which the Baylor TCU game brings me back to this.
And this, I swear to God, this subject changes. I swear by the day.
By the day. And do you know what happened with this?
The Baylor is now suing.
They're not suing, but what happened was the SEC said we'll can't invite you.
We'll take you if nobody in the Big 12 opposes, and everybody in the Big 12 says, "Hey, you're good to go." But hold on. And one hand reached out, and it was Baylor's hand, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? I don't think we're cool with it anymore."
It's actually a little different than that. The Big 12 itself, which is an organization, said we will not sue. You can take A&M. You can take the Texas Aggies.
Yeah.
But they said, in the same hand, though, our members are not us. So any of our members are free to do whatever the hell they want. We can't tell our members not to sue you. So what happened was Baylor and now Kansas, K-State, and Iowa State are all on the same bandwagon saying, we're not saying we're going to sue, but we're not saying we're not going to sue. That's where they're at. Nobody's threatened a lawsuit at this point, but they've said it is quite possible that if our revenue is affected by this, that we will sue you, which rightfully so. They'll sue Texas A&M, and they'll sue the SEC, and they'll sue ESPN. I mean, they'll sue all three, most likely, if not NCAA football. You just never know. I mean,
this is getting so confusing that it's more than just, I mean, we live here in the South, the South region. Big 12 is obviously top of mind, but
sure.
I think this is gonna start a big ripple because once
I like big ripples.
Once A&M goes, now I bet you do. So once this happens, it puts into limbo the future of Texas, OU, and OU State, because those are going to be, and maybe Texas Tech, those are going to be bundled into wherever they're going to go. They're probably going to go together. But OU and Texas are. You know that.
No, actually, at this point, it's very, very much not in the cards that Oklahoma will stay with Texas. Although at first that was what the pundits were saying. At this point, because of the way things played out, Oklahoma is now the ringleader. I guess they're the puppet master. They control not only their destiny, but they control Texas
because they don't have the leverage, and by not having the leverage of the television network, they have the leverage because
they're as big a national brand.
Texas needs them.
They're as big a national brand as Texas is.
Well, they are, but I don't want you to take offense to it because you're an OU fan. But they don't have that because Texas is the anchor, so it's harder to move them because they can be like, "Hey, we don't care." Oh, you can be like, oh, you don't care? Well, we'll just go over here and we'll forget everything. We'll forget what's between us, the rivalry. You need that. I think as a bystander, y'all need each other.
Well, yes and no, because at the same right, you're saying that Texas is the better name there.
I'm not saying
it's really not, because
it's not Oklahoma the better name.
Is, depending on how you look at it, one of the top 2 or 3 winningest franchises as far as national championships goes. No, they're storied.
You're mistaking competitivism and history for the fact that it's the
big difference is what you're missing here is that nobody wants Texas. Well, nobody wants their baggage.
Nobody wants just
They don't
Texas.
want the Longhorn Network. They don't want the fact that Texas thinks they're better than everybody else. So there's a little issue right there. But they love Oklahoma because Oklahoma doesn't make waves as much as Texas makes waves for being a big program, and they would take Texas in addition to Oklahoma if that's what it meant.
You'd have to. If you take Oklahoma, there's no way you're not going to.
Depends on which league Oklahoma would go to.
Well, that's different.
There is an ability for Oklahoma to go to the Big Ten because their rivalry with Nebraska was a lot bigger than their rivalry with Texas ever has been. But now things have shifted with the Big 12. It meant that Oklahoma could not play Nebraska every year. So sure, the rivalry, probably the biggest rivalry ever in college football. Next to that would be Ohio State, Michigan / Auburn and Alabama. But so now Texas and Oklahoma are like number 5 on the rivalry list. Yet number 1 was freaking Nebraska and Oklahoma, man.
And I don't know.
So
we'll talk more about this. There's no way I'm not going to have you on again.
All right.
Good college football talk, but I think we beat that in the ground.
Yeah, but around here, I could grab another beer and talk about college football for another few hours. Well, it'd take another beer than that. But all right, let's move on to the pros.
Yeah, so let's get to what I love, what I really wanted to talk about the whole time. You're just sitting there saying
money.
Blah, 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 blah. All I'm thinking about is pro sports and pro football. So
and Tavares Jackson leading the Seattle Seahawks to victory.
Hawks. So, okay, I guess, I mean, where do you start? I mean, there's so much. The lockout's over. The football starts this week. I'm so excited. There's so much that went on, and it happened in a flurry at the beginning of free agency, which was basically just maybe about, it really was about 3-4 days. But technically, it really most of the moves happened within a week. Everything you want to know happened within a day or two. It was just incredible, all the action, all the moves that happened.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on because nothing was happening. Nothing legally could happen.
Nothing legally could happen.
They literally could not talk to players.
I don't know. Off the top of my head, a couple of moves. Reggie Bush is cut by the Saints. I don't think they are they're crying too much. He was never a line of scrimmage runner. Never really evolved to what they thought he could be. He was a 50-50 guy. Half the time he takes snaps from the quarterback. The other half he's just screaming down the field.
He's a punt returning son of a gun. He's a kick returning son of a gun. He's a catching son of a gun. He's a running son of a gun. The guy can do all of it, but he can do none of it.
Very good. Jack of all trades, master of none.
And so you have the similar fates with like Devin Hester in Chicago. Devin Hester's another one of those guys who can catch the ball. He can do all these things, but you can only get a small guy the ball so much.
Well, that and the kickoff rule, the new kickoff rule.
Yeah, it
takes him out of the equation.
Sure. It definitely hurts him because you're either going to have one of two things happening. The guys are going to kick it 10 feet out of the end zone every time, 10 yards out of the end zone, or they're going to try to pop it up intentionally. And so by the time you catch the ball, you're going to have people 5 yards closer to you than you had before. Mm-hmm. Now, is that a bad thing for a blocking scheme or a good thing? We'll see. Because you may see as many returns for touchdowns this year, but you will not see as many returns for positive yards, for good yards.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason they did that was to reduce the speed of the kicking team, which would in turn reduce the collision force, which would in turn reduce concussions, which all it really does is just make them standing there slower.
Hey, if you're going to do
that's
that,
fine.
My thought is if you're going to do that, get rid of kickoffs, man. Give them at the 20.
Yeah, that's what's been talked about. Damn, fly. That's what's been talked about. So I don't think that should be happening. I think you need that little. You need that. I don't want this to be 7-on-7, and just start at the 20 and go. But whatever. Another move that happened. Couple quarterbacks. Kevin Cobb. More importantly,
that's a money man right there. Now
that was rumored even before the lockout happened.
Making Romo money now. Making Romo money.
Yeah, dude, the guy. Hey, look, he had a couple of starts. Vic, thank you, Rich. Vic got hurt. Cobb stepped in. Vic almost lost his job. Cobb got hurt. Vic won his job back. That's the story of Cobb.
That's the story of Cobb. And if you want to find the story of Cobb, go to www.frontiertelevision.com/half-ass-sportsfast/story that doesn't exist /Kevin Cobb.
Yeah, you just keep looking for it.
.aspx.
Yes. So Kevin Cobb gets traded. I mean, it was, like I was saying, it was rumored before the Super Bowl even that it was a done deal. Cobb was going to the Cardinals. I think that's a perfect freaking fit.
Sure, without a doubt. You've got, to me, skills-wise, best receiver in football.
Yeah,
I think Larry Fitzgerald is the best receiver in NFL football.
It's definitely on the table.
The only people you're going to put up on
Calvin Johnson
are Calvin Johnson and Andre Johnson. I don't think you can put Roddy White up there. I don't think Roddy White is as good, but he's in a much better situation. Had Roddy White been in a situation on a team that was not a winning team, had he been in Detroit, he would not have been posting the numbers.
Well, true.
That's where I look.
He didn't have a Matt Ryan. I mean, Matt Ryan's better than Matt Stafford.
But Fitzgerald's the same way. I mean, he had an off season last year when they had the punter throwing to him, or they pulled off the bench.
It was bad, I mean,
it was water boy. They brought the little 8-year-old in, and he threw it, got sacked. And
I was so happy to see Matt Leinart just freaking fail,
dude. I mean, $2.5 million contract.
It's more than that.
2.5 a year. 2-year contract down in Houston. I mean, come on, Houston Texans. Really? I mean, I think that guy is really pretty, and some of the dudes in the office find the pretty boy quarterback, kind of float their boat, and maybe they get off a little sexually on that.
Like,
Just
hey,
saying, maybe Leinert's
like,
gay
hey, dude, what are you doing in the shower? You work in the office? He's like, don't mind me, I'm not here.
But I could get you a $2.5 million a year contract.
You would have talked to me. I work the numbers.
So the soft soap, buddy.
So Cobb to Arizona, another one that I think, I don't know, seeing his preseason work, I didn't think he was too bad while Kyle goes off screen. Was Donovan McNabb, Doodoo-Van McNabb to the frickin' Vikings, man.
Vikings.
I think that plugs a really good hole. It gives that organization a little more time.
And that's something you don't see enough of in pro football is hole plugging. And so as the Minnesota Vikings, well, no, they had their party vote. They had their party vote.
You said that with a straight face.
So,
I didn't say anything.
So, okay, anyway, party boat gone. That ship sailed. Whoa, another one.
Whoa, whipping them out here. Oh, damn.
Yeah, but you can't see it. It's under the table. Anyway, Donovan McNabb, experienced quarterback. He loves to throw to a tight end. Visanthe Shenko, very talented tight end. So now you've got a guy he can throw to, and you've got a situation where he's got a safety blanket of a tight end.
And then you got the other safety blanket of one of the best running backs in the game, Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, that's not even a safety blanket.
That's a plan. That's not a safety blanket. I guess that'd be
without fail, if they run some stretch plays this year, you will see Donovan McNabb struggling to get the ball to all the way into the chest of Adrian Peterson, because that guy takes off running. Like, you better catch up and give me the ball like a baton for a relay.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude,
that guy's so freaking fast.
He's a beast.
And he doesn't wait on the play. He goes. And the play is going where he's going. That's the play. And I think the world of Adrian Peterson as far as running talent. I mean, there's other things, of course, that he's missing. But.
So a couple of minor moves, I guess. You had, of course, we said Tavares Jackson's going to Seattle. It's not as positive as these other two moves you mentioned as being. I don't know what the hell are they thinking in Seattle, thinking that this guy can freaking throw a ball? The guy is awful.
I'm telling you, if you go back and look, they have to have salary cap issues. As many guys as they brought through that system and dumped, they probably still owe a little bit of money.
That's what USC for Pierre probably.
Yeah, they still have a contract with USC's sports program. They're still paying off the house of Reggie Bush, the basketball player, and
it still stands, I guess. Whatever.
So they bring all these players in. Like last year, they shuffled through twice as many players at Seattle as they did any other program. They brought people in, they'd use them for a week and play at practice, and then they dump them. But you still owe the guy some money. I don't know how it works out that way, but I would like to think every time you did that your cap would increase a little bit. So now they got the players they want, but they don't have a whole lot of cap room left to do some stuff.
But it's bad talent evaluation is what that goes down to.
But Marshawn Lynch, I think, is a huge upgrade from Forsett.
Oh, yeah.
I mean Forsett was like, you're giving the ball to a guy who was getting 100 yards because he got the ball like 45 times a game.
Yeah. I mean, he's a volume hitter.
He was,
so to
definitely.
Speak.
He's
a volume shooter, as they say.
3.2 yards per carry guy in the world.
Yeah,
right?
That was for you, Mark, a volume shooter. Another kind of move, I guess, that the chain off that would be Matt Crappleback going to the Titans.
I've never been a hater of Hasselbeck. I put
Hasselbeck. Because he doesn't have any hair like you.
He's a nice-looking man. So Matt Hasselbeck, I put him like on a Gerard tier, where he is very serviceable.
Say that he's a bus driver.
He can play football. He can carry a team. He can throw the ball to the right guys. He is not going to make that throw that he shouldn't have been able to make. He's not going to do that thing where you're like, my God, he threw it to him. Yeah. I can't believe you're never going to have those.
He's not going to make a great play.
He's not going to lose you games. Like, you're not going to go, that damn Matt Hasselbeck, if he would have just not thrown 5 interceptions, we would have won. You're never going to hear that.
He's vanilla. He's the vanilla ice cream of quarterbacks.
He is
what
every team that's bleeding at the quarterback position wants. And that's what Tennessee was. They were bleeding at the
and you know
quarterback
what?
position.
With a team like they got with Chris Johnson,
sure.
You know what else do you need?
And they've got some speed threats deep. Kenny Britt being probably the most dominant of that, but he's got his issues as well. But you've got people to throw it to. So all you need to do is set up the plays where he can do that, and you'll be fine. He'll be fine. I think Chris Johnson's going to have a better year this year than he did with Vince Young at the helm. I mean, I think Vince Young is one of those quarterbacks that just has never proven himself, yet he gets all kinds of hype. I'm not because I hate.
I wonder if it's his for
because I hate
Texas or not. Probably.
Because I'll tell you this right now. I think a quarterback that's going to have a pretty darn good year is Colt McCoy, who I think is a fantastic quarterback.
Well, hey, how about we transition there and we talk about, well, Colt's not a rookie, but this is going to be his first full season. Let's talk about a couple of the quarterbacks that made moves from this season. Let's start with Colt. How do you feel about Colt?
Colt McCoy?
No, Colt 45.
I like Colt 45.
Oh, we're talking about beer. He actually will run with that. I better stop.
No, Colt McCoy. I think he's a great quarterback. He is undersized. He's very Doug Flutie-esque. He's undersized. He's very mobile. He can get moving around in the pocket. He can scramble. But the thing that happened with him at Texas is for a lot of years they had Jermichael Finley and they had Shipley and they had Colt McCoy. But without those two players receiving the ball for Colt McCoy, they had nothing. So they had this play set up to where the guy could scramble out of the pocket, could make some stuff happen, use his athleticism. But he had the smarts. He was a smart quarterback who just had to scramble a little more. And they set him. He's very talented. He can run, but he's smaller than he should be. So as a quarterback, he should be like 3 or 4 inches taller, and he should be a little heavier. But he's strong. He's smart. He's got an arm. He's very accurate, and he's played in systems that allowed him to see the field in front of him. I think he's going to have a very good year. The offensive coordinator moving from St. Louis Rams over to Coach Colt McCoy's team there.
Coach Colt McCoy's team, okay.
They're going over to Coach Colt McCoy's team, right?
Okay.
Kyle calls him Coach.
The guy, yeah. Anyway, he is the coach from the offensive coordinator is going to coach over at that team.
I got you.
That's happening.
Right now, this is happening. Okay, how about we?
Oh my bad.
Okay, let's go. Let's finish up on this.
So, what do you think about Colt McCoy?
Oh, I think he's going to be a good player. I think he's tougher than people gave him. Yeah, he's very. I don't know. I can't piggyback. I just got to piggyback on what you said that he is very underrated, undersized. But the size doesn't mean everything. You need. I guess if you want
dimensions,
what
Ryan's been trying to sell the women public for years.
It's not about size; it's about girth. But no, I think he's an undervalued quarterback. Hopefully, he will make it. He shows his true colors this season.
Hey, he won to start out at that position with a new coach.
Well, yeah.
So,
that coach
that tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you had in the Denver world, you had a new coach coming in, and everybody's like, "Oh, Tebow's starting this year. Tebow's starting. He's so good."
Sure.
That's my pundit shake the face while I'm talking Nixon talk, right?
Nice.
So yeah, you've got that guy over there, and everybody's saying, "Well, Tebow's going to start." Now they're going, "Man, if Tebow wasn't a first-round pick, they would have freaking cut him."
Maybe he would be our second or third.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, all right,
crazy.
Let's digress. Let's go to
Andy Dalton.
Well, let's do a pair. Let's do Dalton versus Cam Newton. Now, I ask you an obvious question of which one do you think is going to be better, but that's easy to say post or pre week one.
Okay.
But obviously, from what I've seen from Andy Dalton, I mean, look, he's from TCU. It's fine. The guy, I think it was people weren't looking at him as like probably the third, fourth guy they could take as a quarterback in the draft. I think that was a guy. It's hard to surpass the hype of Cam Newton, but I think you could really argument for him for a number 2. To be the next guy taken after Cam Newton.
I think the only guy that I would have taken above Andy Dalton in that draft was Jake Locker. And I think Tennessee having Jake Locker behind Matt Hasselbeck, great combination, right? You got Jake Locker going to learn from a veteran quarterback now. But I think Andy Dalton is a phenomenal quarterback. I think he is a calm presence in the pocket. He has played a lot of football over the years. He was a starter as a freshman at TCU, and he just never had a chance to put up those numbers because he kept getting hurt. I worry about him for that reason in the pros, that maybe he's going to be a little injury prone. Mm-hmm. But as far as the mentality and the arm and the decision-making ability and the fact that Cincinnati has a pretty darn good receiving.
Well, now that they drafted some receivers,
and
so
they've got another receiver who was coming alive last year, Jerome Simpson.
Yeah.
They've got and they picked up they were AJ Green, right?
Yeah, dude, totally. And you got a guy like that and a good, it's kind of a dump hole of a football town. They have the whole Carson Palmer thing, the Ocho Cinco thing. They've just been while they've been talking, they've just been digging a hole. And I've always thought Carson Palmer was a pretty spare quarterback.
So did I.
And finally, this is coming to fruition. People are realizing this. But it's also hard to come back from that
I heard
injury.
people talking about it just the other day about Carson Palmer and could he have been better at a different club? No. If they would have let him throw more, he just would have thrown more.
He would have thrown himself
more
out of the
bad
job.
stuff.
Yes. So you go from a team like that has been in the dumps, and it looks like they're coming out, to a team that I think is going into it, which is the Carolina Panthers and Cam Newton. Seriously, they have an aging wide receiver in Steve Smith. They got a pretty good, equally mediocre running backs. No, they're not mediocre. They're decent.
And
if either one of them was better than the other, they'd be a starter.
Sure.
But they're not. So
but they offered a lot of money to Williams.
They had to, because they knew that he's the lead dog, and it's just not what's his nuts' right time. What's the other guy's name?
Stewart.
Yes.
Jonathan Stewart.
Jonathan Stewart. So I don't know. You don't really have too many. You have one other option at wide receiver besides Steve Smith, who I think is losing it. This will be his last year in Carolina.
They're happy with their young wide receivers, but we haven't seen anything from it. So is that because of quarterbacks, or is that because of they're really not that good?
And we haven't said a damn thing about their defense or their O-line, which aren't that good. And let's say that they are in a division that's going to be probably one of the best divisions in football when it's all said and done, with Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and freaking Atlanta. You kidding me?
Yeah, I think that's the thing you got to talk about is that division all got better. So, pretty much, what are they going to do? Because I don't think Cam Newton is enough to make them better than the other teams got better over the offseason.
Definitely.
And
you had a quarterback that, okay, what? A quarterback that people say they don't know if it's going to work or not.
Right.
That much skepticism around a quarterback,
sure.
Around a running quarterback, I don't know about that.
And Cam Newton, if you watched him in college, his claim to fame was trick plays. He could catch the ball, he could throw the ball, he could run the ball, he could do all this stuff. But the majority of the way that they played the game in Auburn was with misdirection type plays.
And that horse shit does not work in the NFL.
Yeah.
The defenses
his
are too
passes
fast.
were not accurate. Even when they ran a misdirection play, if you watched it, the receivers are reaching out to catch something that should have just been right here.
Yeah.
He should have put it right in their chest. And he's not a very accurate quarterback. He didn't have outstanding numbers where had you had go to Chase Daniels or go to Colt McCoy playing with the kind of system they had there and the way that system was run, they could have had numbers in the 75-80% pass completion ratings because they set up plays to where Cam Newton should have been able to hit open receivers every time he threw the ball.
Yeah.
But he was still a 65% kind of 60% kind of guy.
That's your Michael Vick. That's your running quarterback. Before in Michael Vick's time at Atlanta, he completed half of his passes. His quarterback rating was a 60. A 60.
But you know what? No. Are you asking the question, is this going to be a better quarterback or is this going to be a better fantasy football quarterback?
Well, no.
Because Cam Newton's going to be a better fantasy football quarterback
you know what?
than Andy Dalton.
Well, he's going to be about as good as a fantasy quarterback as he can stay healthy, which as a running quarterback, he's going to find out quick how big those linebackers' eyes light up and how big they get whenever they see him running out of the pocket and they can take a free shot at a brand new kid that thinks he can run a lot.
And my favorite is when the first time they get legged out while running towards the sidelines by a defensive end who overtakes them step by step.
This did not happen. This didn't happen in college.
The guy that overtook you from behind was a quarterback who was like 5'11" and 160 pounds.
Yeah, they're a lot bigger.
Yeah, so now you're getting overtaken by a 265-pound guy who's running a 4.4. It's just ridiculous.
So okay, I guess we can move on to our last segment of the night, and something that I thought of real quick. It's not like it's great. I just thought of it real quick. I don't know why I prefaced it with that. But how about
fantastic?
How about 5 up, 5 down? I'm gonna give my list of 5 teams that are going up and 5 that are going down. I think
the movers.
And this is not like
people that are saying the same. This is ones I think that are going to fall from where they were last year. Let's go 5 up. I do think I think the Lions are going to be better. You got
I've got them on my up.
I'm
with you on that.
You got the that defense. You got the
Getting better.
the bookend pass rushers. It's Fraley and Dominican Sue.
Dominican Sue is a beast in college. He's a beast in the pros. He's a phenomenal player.
I like Stafford's toughness. I like the wide receiver position. The running back position, something to be desired. I think it really has a year to prove with Javid Best and some of the new guys they got in the backfield.
They picked up guys that everybody thinks have a ton of talent, but never pierced the depth chart of other teams. So
now
Mike Bell and Jerome Harrison, excuse me. They got a chance.
It's time to put up or shut up now. They have a chance to move up in that division. I think. My other team would be the Browns, the Doo-Doo Browns. I
do not have them on my up list.
I think Peyton Hillis. I think with Sean Rogers is still there. I think with Colt McCoy.
How many games did they win last year?
They won. I want to say they won 8.
I think they were a 7 or 8 team.
Yeah,
somewhere between. So they're middle of the pack team.
But I will preface it that I think that if it solely rests on Peyton Hillis more than Colt. Well, I think quarterback's most important position, but I think that he has still some more room to grow this year.
Right.
But if he can just not be bad and shine at times, and Hillis be even 75% what he was last year, I think they have a chance to win, or a chance to win a lot of games, and maybe even make a wild card. Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe, but Cleveland plays Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh in their division.
That's 2 good and 1 bad.
But I did not put Cincinnati on my up or down because I just think they are a toss-up. I think Cincinnati is going to be one of those teams that week to week is going to be able to win games. So playing the Cleveland Browns team that lost their defensive coordinator to the Dallas Cowboys, how much is that going to affect them? What's going to happen? We'll see. I just don't see Cleveland as being they were a good defense last year as far as numbers go and getting interceptions and turning over the ball and getting opportunities for their offense. If they can't keep that up, then I don't think that they can overcome, because I just don't think their offense is deep enough. Well,
and that's the key in that division, because those are all running defensive teams. It's going to be a war of attrition. It's not going to be a shootout with those with Baltimore and the Steelers. And so we'll see what happens with that. Another team I think is up on the up would be the Rams with your homeboy
with the
Sam
Rams,
Bradford.
Yeah, I think Sam Bradford. We had many discussions, and in fact, my fantasy football team was named $50 million guaranteed about the way that salaries are given to players. But he asked me, "Is that fair?" And I said,
"Not anymore."
Hell yeah, it's fair. You give the best player in college football that has been around in college football in the last half a decade, at least 5-6 years. You give him the biggest contract.
Well, look, Bradford is looking like he is a solid pro quarterback, and
the guy.
You got to understand. We got to understand
collected.
In this day and age, with the way they treat okay, that's the end of the story. Actually,
okay.
With this day and age, the way they treat pro quarterbacks, they're not gonna. They pay so much money, they're not gonna let a dude sit on the bench.
Sure.
And I guess Aikman was one of the last guys really just kind of like, hey guy, welcome to the team. Now get out there and suck. Then teams don't want to let a guy sit back there and really learn. Now,
so let me just say what they did last year. With the record they produced, went from a 1-win team to winning half their games.
Oh, they did a
market improvement.
Oh yeah.
Their number 1 receiver to start the season on the depth chart went in this offseason went to San Diego and was cut because he was not as good as the 3rd string guy on San Diego, who was a guy that Dallas cut the year before that.
Amendola.
So, they've got some good receivers. Okay, receivers. Now they shorted up, and then Clayton should be healthy, and they've got Mike Sims-Walker, and we'll see what's going on.
Yeah,
but last year, their receivers were awful.
Yeah, well, it was running down the depth chart.
So Laurent Robinson, number 1 receiver on that team, cut.
Yeah,
in the offseason.
Well, it happens, and
not by a different team.
We'll see what Steven Jackson has left in the tank. He's always been, as much as I just don't understand it, he's always been putting up. So we'll see. He's maybe got this year, maybe next year left in the tank, but I don't know. The other team I have coming up is Tampa Bay. With Freeman at quarterback and those wide receivers, LeGarrette Blount maybe coming into prominence. With Raheem Morris, Raheem Morris at head coach?
Professional.
What?
He's a professional.
I just burped on the air. Sweet. So with Raheem Morris at the head coach, saying that they're coming up in that division, I think is saying something. Because you got two really good teams that are constantly competitive. And one that sucks, hopefully.
Well,
but I think Tampa Bay's got a chance, especially with that good defense. Ronnie Barber's still playing, too. How the hell is he still playing? Anyway, because he didn't quit like his bro.
Yeah.
So, and then my last team to go up, I would say, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Buffalo.
Okay. I mean, there's room to talk there. Fred Jackson, you've got Stevie Johnson, you've got some good threats there. They've still got Ryan Fitzpatrick, one of the rare times that you see a quarterback or any player coming from the Ivy League and doing anything.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say that is holding them back is that they're in the league with the Jets and the stinking Patriots. So that would be tough.
I think that's a tough call, man.
Yeah, but I'm still going to say that I'm going to put it out there. Boom, roasted.
So my ups, I have the Rams and the Lions with you.
Okay, yeah.
But I went with three different teams here. I went with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals.
They're on the fence, but I didn't hold them up as much because they lost. They haven't really replaced Bolton, and they haven't really found a surefire starting running back. Now they drafted that dude, but he got injured. He's out for the season. Now they're back to Beanie Wells and without Tim Hightower.
You're right.
So I'm not sure what that says.
But they changed from having pretty much down the. I mean, I would say by far the worst quarterbacks in the league last year, including Carolina.
Oh yeah,
including Miami.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So worst quarterbacks in the league. And now they have one of the guys who's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. He may not be the best, but he's one of the better.
We'll see. He's yet to be proven. He's showing up
really well with Larry Fitzgerald in the preseason and in practice. So I'm going to go with Cardinals.
Okay, who's your? What's next?
I'm going to go Houston Texans.
Well, I would say that they're going to be on par, in my opinion.
Okay.
Now they didn't do as good because of Andre Johnson's injuries and their defensive problems.
He was a little tweaked last year.
And but. I mean, come on, really? With Arian Foster, you're going to say a team's going to be going up? The guy's a beast.
Yeah,
they're going to prove a record, but I don't think they're going to be just making this giant jump. I think what helps is the injury to I want to say Sean Payton.
No, Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
You're looking for Peyton Manning, yeah. And again, that brings me to a team that's on my down list, and that's the Colts. I think the Colts are going to suffer this year from the injury.
Okay, so who's team on
my last team is the Dallas Cowboys. Dude, 5 wins last year.
Don't do this to me.
5 wins last year.
We had more than 5.
So Dallas Cowboys.
That's my team.
Are we rolling again?
So that's we're saying the Dallas Cowboys were a 6-win team. I just see the Dallas Cowboys with their offense intact, playing with their number 1 quarterback and playing with their wide receiver stud of Dez Bryant that they've gotten back. I think they're markedly improved their running back. I'm not going to say anything about the defense. The defense is very similar, but I think they're better coached. They'll keep them in games slightly better, and that offense is productive enough, and the schedule is easy enough to where I see them winning having a very in their own control whether they win 10 games or more. But I think it's pretty much that they will win 8.
Okay, well,
so I call them improvement. They may not even improve, but they may not even make play.
These injuries that we've learned about today, we'll see. I would say, you know what? I might even go out and put a Vegas bet on the fact on Romo's ability to channel his own Romo-ness and play when a pocket breaks down. Because, I mean...
It's going to break down.
People got on his ass for the wild plays. It was Brett Favreisms. It was like, you get to go to the bad, right? You get the bad plays, but you get the really good plays.
Sure.
And he was really good when he broke down, when the pocket broke down, and he knew he had instinctual,
abilities
to say, like, this is breaking down. I need to get out of here. I need to improv.
And he had been able to run away, but not past the line of scrimmage.
Yes, and then you see T.O., see Witten.
Do you see that play in the preseason with Tim Tebow? where he got it was against.
Well, no,
Dallas,
he
wasn't it?
has ass cream.
Yeah,
he tried to improv, and
He
then
ran
ass
past the
cream.
line of scrimmage.
It was that three penalties on one play on one.
The
team.
refs were laughing because
Yeah.
they had an offensive holding, they had a throwing after you've run past the line of scrimmage, and they had an ineligible receiver downfield because their linemen were already in the end zone blocking.
Yeah.
It was like, dude,
3 penalties on one play on the same team.
I'm pretty much all because of one guy, but that's all right.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well, I think that'll hinge Romo's ability to do that because of the offensive line injuries and. Yeah, I don't know. I'm as much as people want to think out of town that we're homers, dude. We're not here. We really beat up on the Cowboys more than they think.
I just think though, here's where I'm at. I think the Cowboys have a spitting chance of getting in the playoffs. It's lucky if they're spitting in the wind, whether it hits them in the face or it goes the right way, they're okay. But I think they are definitely going to be improved from a 6-win season.
All right, so
that's where I'm at.
Let's go for our 5 down and wrap up the show.
We were talking about it during our break. That we
break.
have 2 teams that we both agree with that will be down.
I think as good as Andy Dalton is, I think Cincinnati's on a down year. They got
one of them.
I think they have rookie wide receivers, a rookie quarterback. As much as I want Dalton, I think he's going to be good. I just don't think it's going to happen this season. And there's a lot of other holes. But Marvin Harrison notwithstanding, that's just not going to work. Another down team I have is Chicago. You got to be freaking kidding me if you want to pick up Marion Barber and Roll Williams and make them your number ones.
Yeah, Chicago is definitely hurting.
With Jay Quitler? Are you kidding me?
Now,
No way.
Here's my issue with your Cincinnati call. 4 wins last season.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to be worse than 4 wins last season.
That, but
that's where I'm at.
But they had Carson Palmer last year.
And so I agree. So they have already won in my book by getting rid of Carson Palmer.
Yeah, they really kind of have. I'm just saying that I don't think.
So you're right, Chicago though. Picking up, they went dumpster diving at Dallas and picked up 3 of our players, right? Marion Barber,
Sam Hurd, and Sam Hurd's not a dumpster diver.
No,
Sam Hurd's a good guy.
But when you overvalue a guy like Roy Williams, Sam Hurd's never going to make the team. And they let go a guy who everybody thought, Arusha Madhu. Everybody thought that guy was going to be a stud last year, and he pretty much didn't get the field. He didn't get a chance to be proven whether he was a stud or not.
Johnny Knox and Devin Hester took up those spots. So, excuse me.
So
Seattle,
you're going to Seattle, which
Seattle's
I definitely.
down.
So I'm agreeing with you on Seattle and the Bears.
Morris Jackson and
come on,
hey,
that team's gonna suck, man. I mean, they should have sucked last year. They should have. They squeaked out wins. If they would have made it to the Super Bowl,
I would have shot myself.
No matter what, if they won the Super Bowl, they would have had a losing record.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's just silly. You can't win the Super Bowl with a losing record. They're that bad. The division was building, and I think
the division's been building for 3 years.
Yeah, and the Rams now are better. The Cardinals are markedly better. So we'll see. Maybe not the running game, but
speaking of that division, let's go ahead and I'm going to say San Francisco. I'm going to say with Alex Smith. They drafted a bunch of wide receivers. It's not going to amount to anything if you have nobody throwing to him, which you have. Frank Gore has proven that he can't stay healthy.
Right.
They got a backup behind him.
His backup up in my fantasy.
They got a backup that they're going to be trying to see what he has. So they're going to look for a Frank Gore to have a cold to try to put him in. So I have
Kendall Hunter's good, man. Oklahoma State, that guy's phenomenal.
So San Francisco's down, and then my last down team was going to be Denver.
Denver again.
Worst defense.
A 3 or 4 league.
Horrible defense.
But they massively improved their defense with the draft. We'll see how good those rookies are because there's a lot of rookies on the team.
I still think it's going to be down.
Their draft is very well improved. Their defense. So I just don't. Again, I think you're picking down teams and saying they're going to be down again. Yeah, they'll be down again, but they won't be down worse than what they are now.
I think.
Here's my 3 difference in teams.
All right.
I don't think the Chiefs are going to do as good as they did last year.
The Chefs.
I don't think
Dwayne Bowe had a huge season as opposed to the year before.
Charles.
So did Jamal Charles.
And I think Jamal Charles is a good player. Thomas Jones getting older. I think Jamal Charles I think he could still have a really good year, but I just don't see them having as good a year. The Moyeki as a tight end, he's a good player, but we'll see. They won some close games last year.
They did,
and they were not necessarily the better team in those games. So we'll see what happens. The Colts, I think that's an obvious at this point. If Peyton Manning is not at the helm of that team, it is not the same team. I mean, you drop 3 to 4 wins a year without the best quarterback probably to have played the game in the last 20 years.
And then you have the lack of mediocre running back. The defense is falling off.
And they like that DeLone Carter guy. But we'll see. We'll definitely see.
We will see. We'll see. We will just see. Peyton Manning might win the MVP without playing at all this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see about the Colts. And what's your last team?
And this one's going to probably surprise you, but I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens as being a down team.
Very, very hot.
I just don't. I don't know, man. I wasn't impressed with the way they did things last year. I think Ray Rice should have a good season again. Flacco good season. I mean, Lee Evans is going to be a deep threat there now, but they completely shook up their wide receiving core, whole new wide receiving core, and they've got Flacco, who's kind of a hit and miss guy. He can have bad games, he can have good games.
He's a Roethlisberger. I think he's better than Roethlisberger. He's in that division. It's just like that Roethlisberger mentality where you don't need to wow me. You just need to come through when you need to come through.
Right.
He's not a deep threat guy too much. It's just you got Ray Rice and you got a couple of good guys that you can do a 10 and out.
Sure,
kind of thing.
But I think losing McGahee, who's now going to, I think, improve Denver, is one of the reasons why I like Denver a little more this year, is I think McGahee's actually a pretty darn good running back. So you got McGahee over there, and it could quite possibly take over Noshawn Moreno's role by the end of the year.
Yeah, he could. We don't know how good Noshawn is yet.
I mean, Noshawn's always hurt. So one way or another, I think he could take it over by talent, and he could take it over by injury. But yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. So I'm going to go with Baltimore Ravens.
All right. Well, damn, I think we just fit about as much football as you can into this bag.
We're going to talk some more football as we drink more beer and eat some dinner.
Word.
But until next time, what's your sign-off on your show?
I don't know. We don't have one.
All right.
How about...
I don't know. We don't have one.
Let's do more sports next week, guys. Let's do that. All right, Rich?
That was perfect.
There's a sporting chance that next week will be better than this one.
Yeah! Hooray for sports. And go freaking football.